Hello and welcome to 12 Days of Business Planning. I will be your host and your guide for the next 12 days as we create your visual business roadmap or business mandala. It can be called either, and the students in our Creative Business Accelerator have called it all kinds of fun things. But at the end of the day, this is your perfect guide to creating the business that you want in the coming year. And we're going to do it in 12 simple steps. And we're going to do one step each day so that it doesn't feel so painful or burdensome. And I remember when someone first told me that I needed a business plan, my eyes rolled back in my head and I said, no, I don't. I don't have 6 months to work on a business plan. But in some ways, she was right. I did need a guide. I needed a roadmap. I needed to really understand how to get from where I was to what it was that I said that I wanted to create in my business. And I kind of had a sense of where I was going, but I didn't have a lot of clarity. And I wasn't sure what marketing would work or how many sales I needed to make or what the cost of running my business was. So many questions. And like so many of you in our community, I am a creative, right? And I didn't want to look at the numbers or think about the numbers, but I had a publishing company for over a decade where I learned to not just look at the numbers, but to understand the numbers and to notice that numbers simply tell a story. So a big part of this visual business mapping process is to know what the numbers are that are going to guide you on your journey, so that you make sure that you are building a business that is completely aligned with who you are at your core, with how much money that you want to make, and what's the lifestyle that you want to live. I think so often when we think about business planning, we think about these linear bullet point structures that really don't contain the information that we most need to keep us going every single day of our business. So at the end of these 12 days together, you're going to have a complete visual business map that's going to show you exactly what you need to do. And not only that, it's going to be pretty so that you can hang it on your wall and look at it all year long. What I don't want is for you to create a document that is just going to sit on a shelf and gather dust or get buried in a file folder or lost on a document on your computer. Your business map should be a living document that you're reflecting on monthly and quarterly, that you're revising, because like any map, there's going to be parts of it where detours and roadblocks and potholes and, oh my gosh, those historical markers are going to show up, and we're going to need to do some rerouting along the way. But it's important to have a starting place. So that is the goal for the next 12 days, is to make sure that you know where you're going and you have a general sense of how you're going to get there. And along the way, I'm going to share some stories and examples from some of the members of our Creative Business Accelerator and our own personal stories for how we've used this visual business roadmap time and time again in order to guide our businesses and move our businesses forward. We've used it to let go of things when we realized that we were doing way too much and we needed to get a lot more focused in on exactly what it was that we wanted to create, because we have a lifestyle that we love and we don't want to give that lifestyle up. So that's kind of a big picture vision of where we're going. What you're going to want to do in order to make this work is a couple of things. So one, you're going to want to print the handout. There was a link to that in the email that came out to you on the day one of the process. And you're going to want to have some crayons and markers and sticky notes or colored pencils. I've used all kinds of things to create mine. Sometimes I've done it just in black and white pen. We've had other people get creative and do it in either Photoshop or PowerPoint, but I am an artist at heart and I love working manually. So I highly recommend that you print out the blank version to use as a working copy. And then you get a large sheet of paper or even a poster board. I use big, cheap kids' drawing pads that you can get at the dollar store or at any office supply store. They work great for this. And that you start to build it on a bigger sheet of paper because it just gives you a little more space and room to work with. And that the more color and imagery and visuals that you add, the more fun you will have on this business planning journey. So that's all you need to get started. And along the way, there's going to be some additional handouts, including the visual business map handout, which you already have. And there might be some extra activities, some guided visualization, or other things that I throw in. And I'll also be doing some Facebook Lives over the next 12 days in our Productivity for Creative Business Owners Facebook group to answer any additional questions. Or if you have a moment or a place where you're getting stuck, come on over and share what's going on. Again, that's Productivity for Creative Business Owners. That's our Facebook group. And I will happily be available to answer questions, to do some hot seat coaching as well. And then on the final day of our business planning, I'm going to do a live Zoom call where we'll get together and I'll make myself available to do some hot seat coaching to answer any questions that you might have, or you might find that you're getting stuck in marketing or sales or in some of the other pieces of the business plan. And I want to make sure that you get access to me in order to get those questions answered. So don't worry, you're not alone in doing this process. We're going to build a joyful, fun, playful community who's really celebrating going into the new year completely ready to grow our businesses. And, the first step is sometimes a bit of a doozy, and it can be exciting and also a little bit daunting, but it's the most important part. And, sometimes your clients say things to you and you go, oh, I never thought about it that way. But one of my clients one time said that I reverse engineered the business planning process. Because a lot of times when it comes to business planning, what people tend to start with is what they're selling. And I start with your bold money goal. And what I mean by that is what's the total amount of money, what's called the gross amount of money that you need to make in a year to, 1, cover all your costs, 2, pay yourself, and 3, support your lifestyle. These are all 3 considerations to look at when it comes to setting that bold money goal. So one of the things that I highly recommend is that you either write your bold money goal in pencil to start or on a sticky note and stick it in the center of your plan, because by the time we go through all 12 steps, you're going to have some new insights and clarity around that goal, and you might change that number. So before you set it in stone, I want you to make your best guess in the moment and trust that by the time that we're done with this process, you'll know what that perfect number is. So what is a bold money goal? So from my perspective, that bold money goal is a number that feels like a stretch, but it's not impossible. For example, if you made $20,000 this year and you put $1 million goal down, that's great. If you have the money to invest in team and support to help you get there, it's totally doable. But if you're a one-person shop and or even a small team like Brad and I and our team, we're a small team, that kind of growth rarely happens overnight. So I am all about setting bold goals that stretch us and yet being realistic at the same time. As creative and playful as I am, I'm actually really practical. And so I don't want to steer you wrong. Building a business does take work. There are some challenges that happen along the way. And yet at the same time, we need to challenge and we need to stretch and we need to lean in to the edges of our comfort zone so that we can reach some of those goals that right now seem impossible. Maybe you're at ground zero today and you haven't made any money in your business yet. It's brand new or it's just an idea. Well, set a realistic goal and don't let all the craziness and insanity of the people saying they got rich quick and got to $1 million in a year like sway you or make you feel intimidated or like you can't do it. Let's be realistic and practical when it comes to setting that bold money goal. So again, you want to take into consideration what's your cost of doing business. We'll talk about that more in another lesson, but that includes all the money that you spend to run your business. So your phone, your internet, your office if you have one, the cost of supplies, right? Marketing expenditures, those kind of things are all your average cost of business. You combine that with how much do you want to get paid on a regular basis, whether that's weekly or monthly. Ultimately, you want to figure that out on an annual basis, how much money you personally want to make. And then the final thing is to take into consideration your lifestyle goals. Do you want to save for travel? Are you saving for college for kids? Are you wanting to invest in team and you know you need an assistant, but that money isn't there yet and you're saving for that? All of that is part of your lifestyle goals and the resources that you want to think about adding to your business. So again, remember, we're not trying to get this number perfect right now. We're trying to get a ballpark. So whether that number for 2019 is $5,000 or whether that number is 500,000 or 5 million, it's all perfect. There's no judgment about the number you're choosing to pick. But for right now, grab a sticky note or a pencil and write down in the center of your one-page business plan, your visual business map, what is your bold money goal for the coming 12 months. And once you've done that, come on over to the Facebook group. Again, that's Productivity for Creative Business Owners, and shout it out. There is something about making the declaration and sharing with others what your goal is that's incredibly inspiring, motivating, and it says to the universe that you have the intention and the belief and the plan to make this happen. So that's it for today. Your bold money goal is step 1. Tomorrow, step 2, we're going to be talking about you and your unique brilliance and why that's such an important part of your business plan. So I will see you over there tomorrow.